Hello everyone and welcome to the second part of the Werewolf Online roles tier list. Today it's time for 16 more roles, and then in the last part, part 3, we are going to do 17 roles, the last 17. So let's start. I hope that you liked the last part, and if you haven't watched it, be sure to watch it. I have done and explained these roles that you can see over here, and for those who don't know how it works, the S tier is the highest tier, F tier is the lowest tier. It's just personal opinion and just personal experience. And yeah, stuff like that. I'm going to just do 16 rolls. Whoops. I'm going to do 16 rolls today. And yeah, let's get started with the Headhunter. We're going to start with a lynch roll. Where's the Headhunter? It's here. Well, the Headhunter, that is going to be a little bit weird, difficult. I think it's gonna be a D tier because, let me explain this. The Headhunter can easily commit themselves to the village. They can just say, I'm Headhunter, my target is So yeah, I don't really like that kind of Headhunter. I did it in the past as well. It's not like I disliked it, but some people said like, you should actually go for your target. And yeah, I'm kind of agreeing on that, because it's boring if the Headhunter just converts to a 11th villager. It's also really unfair to the werewolves. They don't have a solo role, then it's hard for the werewolves and for the other solo killer in that case. So the Headhunter, well, it is a cool role, and I like that you are actually you want to get a target lynched, but it has downsides as well. So it's getting a D tier. Could be higher maybe, but I don't know. It's gonna pay. I'm gonna place it on the D tier. Let me know where you would place it. But this is just my personal opinion. Then this is going to be a big surprise. We're gonna talk about the Seer right now, which is gonna be in the E tier, and I think a lot of people would place it around S or A or B maybe, but I'm placing that on the E because, well, the Seer can be important and actually usually is important, but I don't like the concept of the Seer. It's factual information, so if the Seer dies and he saw a roll, yeah, it's just a fact, and it's hard for the werewolves to lie around that. Also, it's really easy to distinguish between, let's say, Arsonist or Fool, and that's what I don't like. I really prefer detective games to Seer games. I don't really like Seer games at all. Well, does that say that I hate the Seer, or actually being Seer myself? Not really, but I don't like the concept of the Seer, so that's why it's going on the E tier. Also the most common letter in the word Seer, yeah, obviously. Well, then it's gonna be time for the medium. Another important villager probably is gonna be Seer, C tier. I really don't know how to explain it. It's kind of overpowered sometimes, but it's also cool to have something like this. Being medium is also quite cool, although after your revival you're probably useless or almost useless. Sometimes you can get some information from the red lady or the just killed Seer or something, like I don't know. Sometimes it can be useful if for example the Seer checked someone and he gets blown up or he gets burned by the Arsonist head, yeah, just somewhere during the night, then you can pick up information. Red lady can be useful to get, yeah, their information, but in general medium, I don't know, could be higher, probably not lower. I'm gonna place on the C tier over here. It's not my favorite role, let's say that. Then the detective, which is gonna be quite a high one. I like detectives a lot, so it really deserves the A tier in my opinion. This is probably my favorite informer for the villagers, because I like it. I like detectives. Yeah, just the puzzle of, yeah, who is equal to who and who is unequal, who is who is not equal to that player. You know, the puzzle with detectives. I like that. I like it a lot. It's not solid information, and it can lead into really complicated situations. It's hard to distinguish between Fool and Alpha Werewolf, but it is possible. You can distinguish between werewolves and villagers, but it's also hard, and it allows it gives some space to the werewolves as well, and I like that always. Roles that give some opportunity for the werewolves, yeah, are good in my opinion. Then the next one, really, this was a really short one, is going to be the random werewolf. The random werewolf is another one that goes on the A tier. It's probably my favorite amongst the random roles, the random category. We have the random werewolf, we have the random killing role, we have just the normal random role, we have the random regular villager and the random strong villager, of course. But the random werewolf is probably gonna be my favorite one because the element, it's like, okay, the difference between a regular werewolf or a berserk, for example, is big, but it's not as big as a difference between a fool and a zombie via the normal random role, or let's say a zombie and an arsonist, or maybe even a detective and an extra gunner or an extra medium. It's usually a good role, and it's also really cool for ranked games because you always have to keep in mind that, oh yeah, there could be a berserk in the game, oh yeah, there can be a nightmare werewolf in the game, oh maybe we have a second junior, oh maybe there's a shaman but we are in alpha mode. Yeah, you know, these kind of situations are happening with, or actually due to, the random werewolf role, and that is why it's gonna be an A tier role. It's not a role on its own, so that is probably why I wouldn't place it on the S tier. And also there's still a big difference between, like, yeah, as I said, a junior werewolf, nightmare werewolf, wolf berserk, and in the future a kitten werewolf maybe, and a regular werewolf or an alpha werewolf. So yeah, I would say random werewolf deserves the A tier for sure. Then we are going to the next one, which is going to be the sheriff, and the sheriff is going to be on actually the B tier because I like the fact that the sheriff can be simulated by werewolves. That is, yeah, it's really doable, I think. I haven't tried it myself, but I'm sure it's kind of doable, but also kind of suspicious because of that. And what I like here is that you have to actually guess who is going to die. That's the hard thing about the sheriff. If you want to be useful, if you want to get information, then you have to check the same person as the person that gets killed by the werewolves or by the solo killer. So that is why I like the sheriff a lot. It's one of my favorite informers. Like, after the detective, it's probably even better for me than the aura seer, which is in the same tier as you can see. But the sheriff definitely deserves the B tier, no doubt about that, guys, no doubt. So now, the flower child. Okay, the flower child, I'm sorry bro, but you are gonna get an F tier. Yeah, sorry, but as flower child is not really my favorite role in particular. It is kinda like a pacifist, but then even like, oh wow, we cannot lynch one day. Oh wow, of course it can save, but a flower child is also hard to prove. So yeah, the whole mechanism of guardian werewolf and flower child, it's okay, but it's not the most interesting mechanism. I like pacifist, as in, I would say we don't need a guardian werewolf and a flower child, but especially this two, flower child and the pacifist. It's too much revealing and too much postponing, and usually it's even, yeah, I don't know, it could be useful, but I don't know. Yeah, if you're really certain that a villager is getting lynched and you want to help that villager, then yeah, sure. So then I could also, by the way, I could also see this be really useful if you are sected and the sect leader is getting voted, for example. But now it's going to be time for the random strong villager, which is gonna get a D tier. Yeah, D tier. It's hard to simulate this. It's also not appearing in like ranked. It's only random werewolf and the random regular villager. No random strong villager in ranked or something. But yeah, the difference between the seer, as I mentioned earlier, or detective, and yeah, basically the other three, so medium, gunner, jailer, is huge, I would say. And the kind of roles that you get, it's usually quite easy to confirm. So yeah, like unlike the random regular villager aspect, it's not easy to claim for werewolves. Like a gunner can easily prove himself, a medium can prove himself, a jailer can prove himself, and a seer detective, well, kind of suspicious. But yeah, it's depending on if you know that that the werewolf could be this or not. So yeah, the D tier for a random strong villager, a big difference, so not really my favorite thing in particular. Then it's time for Fool, and Fool, yeah, cannot say too much about this. This is one of the best roles of the game. It's an absolute S tier. The Fool, so much creativity, at least so much space for creativity, a lot of strategies to win as Fool. You have to make yourself suspicious, but not too suspicious, so it's really finding the balance and trying to get and recognize the moment to actually become suspicious. And that's what I like so much, as Fool games are really good. Definitely in comparison to Headhunter games, or in comparison to games without any of them. Only thing I could say is, since the Fool could appear as a random role in general, yeah, that's where the Fool is getting a little bit overpowered sometimes. But yeah, besides that, it's definitely S tier. So I am placing it on S tier. Now we are going to a low one, the Red Lady. Not gonna be F, but E. Red Lady, not my favorite at all. It's recently added. I know that. I haven't played too much as Red Lady, but you know, what is the problem with the Red Lady? Pretty much, it's easy to confirm information. It's a role about dying, and honestly, usually I don't like to die in Werewolf Online. You really depend on a medium, or depending on the message that you send, but it's not cheaty, but it feels a bit cheaty in my opinion. It feels a bit cheaty, although I think they will never really, they will always allow it probably, to say who you're gonna visit, and that's also a strategy, but there's not a lot of space for Red Lady. Well, there are some werewolves that are trying Red Lady simulation, but since there are quite a lot of chance to, the odds of dying as Red Lady is quite high, I would personally not really, like to be Red Lady, so it's E tier. But it might also be because of my lack of experience with the Red Lady. So now it's time for another random role, the random killing role, which is gonna be a C tier. Really average, I would say, because there is a huge difference between Arsonist and Zombie, or Corruptor and Sack Leader. But I like the aspect of having a random killing role, and this Arsonist appearing in this one is quite cool, and you feel like you have a chance, because everyone could think like, oh man, there's zombies in the game, oh there's a Sack Leader in the game, if no one dies that soon. So yeah, that is why I kinda like this, and I think that the Cannibal that was recently added, or maybe the Illusionist as well, that's going to be added soon, this might also be really interesting in the random killing role. So yeah, C tier, I could be positive about it. But the fact that you can get zombies with this, nah, that's not what I like to see. And if they remove the Sack Leader and the Zombie from this thing, I would definitely say that it should go in ranked, instead of knowing that there's gonna be a Serial Killer or Arsonist. So now it's time for one of the last 5 roles for today, the Marksman, S tier. This is gonna be the S tier because I like the fact it's like the Gunner, it has some responsibility, definitely if it's the only one with ammo, or maybe the Jailer, but if it's the only one with 2 arrows in this case, then I like the Marksman a lot. It's so cool to play Marksman, and in contrast to the Gunner, what I really like with the Marksman is the fact that you will backfire if you shoot a villager. So one, you cannot really throw the game by shooting villagers like the Gunner can, and 2, it's also, you are gonna think more about who to shoot. You don't want to die because you're kind of strong. So that is really why I like the Marksman. I would definitely say in ranked games, Marksman should be there instead of the Gunner, but yeah, that is just my opinion. Marksman, absolute an S tier. Then we are going to talk about the Bodyguard. The Bodyguard, a really, also average role, I would say. It's a really old one, a really old one. I know it for like when I joined Werewolf Online in July 2018. It was already there, and I've studied a bit. I've looked at the history of role editions, and the Bodyguard was not there in the original one, but it got added quite soon, I think in March or April 2018. But besides that, where should I place this dude, the Bodyguard? Well, I think it's gonna be a D tier, because hard to confirm, not really interesting to play as Bodyguard, in my opinion. But it's nice that you can actually protect yourself, and sometimes it feels super satisfying if you get attacked or if the protected player gets attacked. That's super satisfying, so that's why I wouldn't place it on E or F. But it's not a game breaking element or something. It's okay. It's not really interesting to play Bodyguard in my opinion, but it can be kind of cool. It's an okay role, I would say. So it does not really deserve anything else than D. Not really, yeah, maybe C, but not lower than this. So now it's time for the Mayor, and the Mayor is gonna be quite low because it's easy to confirm yourself, which takes away a lot of space for werewolves, which is usually my main argument. An E tier for Mayor. I like the fact that you can do surprise reveals, but that's the only thing that I like about the Mayor. The double vote, I don't really care about that. Well, it is that you can do surprise attacks because of the double vote, but yeah, and I'm aiming at late game situations in which the serial killer or the arsonist thinks they're gonna win because, hey, it's me against a villager, but then you are Mayor, and then you can outvote that person. That's satisfying, but besides that, I don't really like the Mayor on its, yeah, for the rest. It's not the coolest role in the game, so E tier. Sorry, Mayor. I hope that you are not going to punish me if you get elected, but yeah, okay. Well, let's go on. Move to the second last one, the Wolf Seer, which is gonna get on the B tier, quite high. Wolf Seer, yeah, it's also a really old role, but yeah, I would say it's cool to play as Wolf Seer. To find information, it's better than a Seer, for example. Well, maybe I could place it on the C tier or something like that, but I think it's gonna be alright with the B tier. Not really interesting, but it has some nice functionality. And I like the choice of being able to actually vote or check players. And you have some responsibility as Wolf Seer within the Werewolf team. And then the last role for today is gonna be a really classic one, the Arsonist. And the Arsonist is going to be an A tier role. Yeah, an A tier role, because there is a lot of freedom with killing as Arsonist. Like, you can choose to douse for 4 nights. You can also just ignite in the second night, and in the 4th night, and the 6th night. You know, right? You know what I mean. And that is why I like the Arsonist. A lot of freedom, 2 kills per night. Well, that's actually what you gain. You can get 2 kills per extra night you wait. So that is what I really like about the Arsonist, and definitely in contrast to the serial killer, for example, which is going to be discussed in the next last part of this tier list. But now I hope you enjoyed this second part, and be sure to watch the first part if you haven't done so yet. And of course, look forward to the third part, which is gonna come in a few days as well. So yeah, I will see you later, and don't be a traitor. Goodbye.